You are now rocking with the best Illmatic podcast with your host, Louis L. Reed. Surviving beats, overcoming breaks. We got motion. Your go-to podcast unpacking hip-hop, trauma, and transformation.
Yes, sir. What's up, world? This is your man, Louis L. Reed, back for another episode of Illmatic Podcast, where we talk about the influence of hip-hop, we talk about trauma, we talk about transformation, especially with the culture's biggest icons and most influential people. Today, we are joined by my brother, none other than Carter Vision. What's going on, man?
I'm blessed to be here, man. I'm glad that you recognize my talent. It means the most. Definitely glad to be here for sure.
Yeah, so we're going to get into it. So tell us a little bit about who you are and where you come from before we even get into what it is that you do.
I'm from East Baltimore.
You from Baltimore?
Yeah, East Baltimore.
East Baltimore?
Yep.
Is being from East Baltimore like being like from Beverly Hills or like Greenwich, Connecticut?
Nah, it's like the total opposite. The equivalent to East Baltimore would be probably like Best I Do or Die in Brooklyn.
Got it.
Like Compton in California.
Got it.
It's a certain part, so it's not like the worst, but it's like it builds your character for sure. It definitely builds your character.
And when you say build your character, what exactly does that mean, and what does character building look like when you come from East Baltimore?
What I mean by that is like, prepare you to be in any type of room, any type of environment, and it's not a lot of yes men. That's like where I'm from. So for me, it's like I came into the world just having a kind of fight, and what I'm saying, you got to prove like who you are, where I'm from. And
yeah.
A lot of times it builds your character to be somebody that's like your own man, you know what I'm saying? So when I transfer it to the industry of what I do now, I look at everyone like, I admire what you did, but I'm a man too, and I'm coming for the same thing you have, if not more. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Who are some notable people who are from East Baltimore?
It's so many.
Is Little Mo from East Baltimore?
Who?
Little Mo.
Yeah, she is, but she's kind of like on the older side of things.
Yeah.
But I always shout out my brother Chino Braxton, man. I feel like he don't get a lot of his flowers. He definitely was like a pioneer.
Shout out to Chino, yeah.
Yeah, Chino is definitely a pioneer in Baltimore.
Is Emery from East Baltimore?
I don't think Emery from Baltimore. I think Emery from Maryland, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken. I think that's how him and Hove kind of linked up. But I don't think he's from Baltimore.
Okay.
But Will Barton.
Yeah.
There's so many people from Baltimore, bro, I can name, literally.
When I think about Baltimore, I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut. And I often, when people think about Connecticut, you think about manicured lawns. You think about white picket fences.
Yeah.
And I often tell people, like, I'm from the Baltimore equivalent of Connecticut.
Yeah.
And where I grew up in a time where heroin was prevalent. I mean, I know some of my peers that was getting high like 12, 13 years old.
Right.
What was growing up in Baltimore like for you?
Growing up in Baltimore, for me, it was more so, I had two parents, my grandmother, my mother, who like, pretty much raised me. So
Wait, you said you had two parents, your grandmother and your mom.
Yeah.
That's an interesting dynamic.
Definitely interesting.
Because as soon as you said I had two parents, I'm thinking about mom and dad, but you talked about grandmother and your mom. How influential was your grandmother and your mom in your life?
To be honest, at one point it seemed like I was with my grandmother more than I was with my mom, because I was with my grandmother every day at the school. Probably before school, so I was with my grandmother a lot. And
Was that because mom was working? Or
mom was working, so
Yeah.
she instilled a lot of key values into me. So, me being the man I am today. So I think that played like a huge part into who I am.
What did your grandma mean to you? Because my grandmother has a very special place in my life, and I say has. My grandmother passed away in 2018.
Yeah.
But the love and the principles and the morality that she has instilled in me still is here. Also, both of my parents were incarcerated when I was 5 years old. They did Fed time, so I was raised primarily by my grandmother. So what does a grandmom mean? What did your grandma?
My
mean
grandma would mean everything to me.
She's still
She's
here?
like the mold to my family. She keeps everything like this. She speak her mind. And she's definitely not a judgmental person. I think that's where I get like my spirit and just my, like I'm open to people. Everybody got a story. Everybody's not, somebody. Treat everybody the same. And she always tell me like the same people you pass growing up are gonna be the same people you see coming down.
That's right.
So
That's right.
always treat, and that's something I carry with me to this day. So you always treat people with like, the utmost respect, whether they're a janitor or the biggest of the biggest. You gotta treat everybody the same. So,
where was your dad?
My dad is a tricky subject with him. My father, he was there, but he had mental health issues, and I never really spoke about that on a podcast before. But with my dad, it was always like on and off. So like, even if I try to tell him something, like mentally, he's not really able to
receptive to hear it,
even receptive to understand or know. So it's definitely something I would have to have patience with and something that I'm growing with.
And how did your dad's Black?
Definitely.
How does your dad, being a Black man dealing with mental health issues, how does that impact you now, and how did that affect you as you grew up?
Man, as I grew up, I was confused because I was more so along the lines of, damn, my dad not here. He doesn't want to be here. That was he not helping my mom. But in all reality, he was going through his own trials and tribulations. And as I got older, it was more so like, it must have been hard for you, I understand. I was more sympathetic to it. Like, I don't really know how that feel. And I'm blessed that didn't trickle down to me because that's like a big thing. But schizophrenia and bipolar depression in the Black community is huge. I think that's like a big thing.
And one of the things I often talk about, Carter, is how I talk about the new PTSD, which is prison traumatic stress disorder. And I'm not talking about people who had to have gone to prison like I did. I did 14 years in federal prison. Right. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the things that predispose us to making decisions that actually put us in prison. Right. So let me give you an example. I know more people who have either been shot, stabbed, or killed outright than I know who graduated from high school, let alone have gone into college.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and even for me, like the high school I went to, like, I went to Lee Clifton High School. Like everybody that I went to school with, a lot of people I played ball with did. Some locked up. Like one of my best friends, he just had to turn himself in. One of my best friends in high school, he just had to turn himself in to do like a 2-year bid. So stuff like that is like,
and that's a common occurrence for us. Yeah. Like that's far too often, right? Like we know how it shouldn't be that we know how to navigate the prison and criminal justice system the way that we do. Your mans get locked up. You know that you got to send him pictures. You know that you got to send him money, right? Got to take his calls, 15 minutes at a clip, unless he can get a jack on the inside.
But one thing with him, and it's a crazy thing, I don't mind because he was one of those friends, man. Frank, shout out to Frank, man. He can see this soon. He was one of those friends. He check on me even when I'm not. Even when even before he was still checking on me. Don't ask for anything.
Right.
Those are some of the like purest relationships that I could ever imagine.
He just wants to know how you are,
how I am. Yeah. How I'm doing. He don't want nothing from me, and that's like a real friendship to me. You don't call to get in people business. You just, yo, bro, how you is? How you mental? Just a check in. I think that's like the biggest thing where a lot of people just forget to do. Just check in.
I want to pivot and I want to talk to you about another relationship that you have with what it is that you're currently doing. I want you to describe it, but then we'll actually get into it. So what are you currently doing? What's your influence and your impact into the culture?
So right now I'm a director for Meek Mill. And
what does being a director for Meek Mill look like?
Going to New York today, last minute, gotta go to work. But it's a blessing, man. He definitely picked me up when I was 20 years old. Trained me up to be, who I am today. It's been a long journey, and it's
How did you guys connect?
He actually found me in a club. I was in a club in Atlanta doing something for the guy, Ron Uncut. Shout out to him. He found me in a club. I wound up doing a video for him. Larry Morrow wound up giving him the video, sending it to him. I wound up going back to Atlanta the next week, and he had a show at Opium. My ID wasn't even turned. I couldn't even get in the club. I had to sneak in the club, jump over the gate. Snuck in the club, got to his section, security like, bro, what you doing? Like, I'm like, no, I'm a photographer. Yeah, I lied at the time. He wound up letting me in though. Waited till like 2 o'clock in the morning. He finally came. At first, he didn't recognize me. He's like, yo, who cameraman is you? I was like, bro, I was with you last week, remember? And then he's just like, all right, you cool. And after that, it was just, I stayed with him pretty
much. Was locked in.
He was locked in.
I have a relationship with Meek, obviously having worked for Reform Alliance, being an executive at Reform Alliance. One of the things and I had Diamond Street Keem on as well. And I asked Diamond Street Keem the same question I'm going to ask you. What does it mean for you for someone like Meek Mill to believe not just in your artistry, but also to be able to give you an opportunity? And I don't mean Meek Mill, the artist. I'm talking about another black man.
The person.
Yeah, the person.
That meant everything to me because at the time I was just doing like, I was doing good stuff, but he put me to a whole nother level. And I always thank him for that because he didn't have to. He could have got any white kid that was like super tech with cameras, videos, computers, whatever. But he gave a black kid from, my situation a chance. And, even to this day, it mean the most because he didn't have to.
And what does it mean when you say that he put you on a different level?
He put me around the A-list of the A-list right from the start. He put me in a fire. Like, it was times where I didn't even think I was ready. He just said, no, you're going to have to get ready. And over time, it was like, I'm noticing myself, like, get past these levels so quick because you don't have a choice. It's like when somebody he believed in me more than I believed in myself. So, at times, even when I do get tired or, I say like, man, this life is a lot for me. I always, get in my next gear because, when things get tough, it might be God just saying, it's time to level up your level. You know what I'm saying? So,
Amen.
Like with him, it always been love. I remember literally like the first time he ever, I think, matter of fact, the first time I ever even been out the country, or maybe the second. He took me to the Bahamas. This our first trip out the country together. I did like a video for him in the Bahamas, and like I remember him caught. This like our first time really locking in outside of the country, really getting to know each other. And I remember I sent him a video, and he texted the Hove. He like, look, Carter, look what Hove said about the video. In my head, I'm like, did you just send my video to like, you know what I'm saying? That's heavy level to me, and for him to do that, it mean a lot. And he never failed to mention my name in any big room. Ever. Like he always say, like Carter do it, like, let's lock in, let's, that to me means the most. So I always hold his name to a certain level.
Yeah, one of the things the reason why I asked you that is because what makes me angry and very incensed about people who I call spectators in life. These are not the folks who are participators. These are the folks who are Monday night quarterbacks. They sitting at home. They got their bonnets on. They are, in effect, they got Twitter fingers, right? These Twitter gangsters.
Yeah.
And they talk about people like Meek, not realizing or not even having full understanding. And this is, when I say they, I'm talking about us, people black and brown, right?
Yeah.
They don't even realize like how this man, I'm not even talking about you criticism of his artistry. I'm talking about him as a social entrepreneur, as a philanthropist, as somebody who has impacted the culture. They don't realize that this guy has, in effect, established a criminal justice reform organization that has impacted more than 500,000 people, creating a pathway to freedom for people who are currently or were under supervision. That's the Meek that I know. That's the Meek that you know. And so when you talk about how he created opportunities for you and has always brought your name up in rooms, that's what the culture is about, right?
Definitely.
And so what does that mean for someone like you who grew up not necessarily having a father, a present father, primarily growing up in an atmosphere that's tough, and being raised by women to be able to have a man, another black man, and somebody who is a cultural icon, in effect, invest in your leadership, right? Like, what does that feel like for you?
Man, it feels amazing. In the beginning, it felt even so much greater because he always was my favorite rapper growing up. If you ask my grandmother, that's all I would play in the house, Meek Mill.
It just goes to show how old you are.
Yeah, really. I'm 24.
Yeah.
I'm 24. That's all I played going to school, walking from the bus, like working out to it. So it meant a lot to me. And then, to actually be around him and get the experiences, his greatness of actually what he does and how many people he inspired in the culture, it means a lot. And I get frustrated when I see people just, speaking on things they don't even really know about, yet alone, like you said, just Twitter finger people that really just don't have a life.
A life.
And for me, it's different because even if I wasn't with Meek, I guarantee you, like, I probably still wouldn't be interested in no rumors or what anybody is saying, because I'm not invested into other people's lives. And to see how many people on the internet are speaking on things that's like, bro, what are you talking about? It's almost like insane. It's like there's that many people that's like controlled by robots. So one thing somebody say is like, bro, I don't know who controlling the buttons nowadays, anything like that.
The thing about it is that, number one, we don't have independent thinking in society right now.
Yeah, at all.
And the moment that you go against the grain, and the moment that you say something that's contrary to what the popular...
But I think that's why I meet Meek, though. Because he always been just like, everybody go this way, I'm going to go to... I noticed that about him since I've been with him. Like, and I'm kind of the same way in a sense. So it's like, when he be doing certain things, it's really just him saying like, nah, y'all not really brainwashed me to think like this is... He gonna go his own way, whether they like it or not. That's what I think. The moment people realize that, understand he always gonna be Meek, that's the special thing.
I think that the other thing about people such as Meek, such as yourself, such as me, when you come from the North Philadelphias, when you come from the east of Baltimore's, when you come from the east end of Bridgeport, Connecticut's, right? All of our lives, our thinking had to be different, and the reason why I think that the masses get the opportunity to criticize our success, because they don't understand the strength of our struggle, right? You got the benefit of criticizing our successes, but you don't know the strength of what it took to get there.
And for me, I would be damned if I criticized somebody who taking care of their mom, grandmother, sister, nephew. Other people, putting people in positions to have jobs. Like, I don't see how people even feel comfortable enough to even talk about somebody who took care of their whole family tree like that. To me, it's crazy. You really speaking on that. You so adamant about it, and it's like, to me, it's rappers out here, man, that really not even don't have the stuff he doing, but people love him, and it's all based upon like a narrative, propaganda.
And just quite frankly, my grandmama used to say, when people talk about you and they don't show up as the best version of themselves, it's not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of who they are not.
I agree, definitely. And to me, it's just too many grown men speaking on things that's like, it's almost scary to me. Like, I never seen nothing like that. I wouldn't even feel comfortable commenting on somebody's picture or anything, saying anything crazy. You know what I'm saying? And when I see that, it's like, bro, be your own man, bro. Like, that man took care of his whole family at this point.
And is still taking care of other people's families, right? Like, he's employing you to help you take care of your family, employed me to help me take care of my family, etc. Literally changing the trajectory of who we are as people. I want to talk about your artistry for a second. How does someone from East Baltimore, who in effect people probably can imagine how you grew up.
Right.
How do you pick up a camera? When does that degree of creativity come in? Like, what was that journey like? There's somebody who's listening to this podcast. There's somebody who is a admirer of what it is that you were doing. What was that moment of clarity like for you?
Man, I was playing basketball in prep school. I figured to myself, like, I don't really think this is it for me no more.
You was a bum?
No, I wasn't a bum.
You was a bum.
Nah, I wasn't a bum. I can't even go that route. I wasn't. But it wasn't for me anymore. And from that point, it was like, all right, let me figure out what's next for me. And the camera definitely, like, I always was the visionary. But like I told you, I went to a school where it was like, if you was to tell somebody you want to be a camera person or director, however you put it, they would probably laugh in your face.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Call you a nerd. All types of stuff. So I was like really keeping it in, like trying to be cool. But, you know, once I got out of high school, I was around a different environment a little bit. So I was very open to trying those things. And once I did, I excelled in it. And I fell in love with creating stories and making people happy. I think that was the biggest thing for me.
So when you bought your first camera, who brought that for you? What
Actually, shout out to Kyle, Nice Shot Kyle. He's like older. He's one of the top cameramans in Baltimore for so many years. He gave me my first camera, actually.
He just gave it to you?
Gave it to me. gave it to me. I made a lot of money with that camera.
So how was that? What was that conversation like? You tell him that this is what it is that I want to do.
Yeah,
he's like,
he always would like tell me like the impact that the camera did for his life, and I kind of was inspired by that. So he gave me my camera, man, and after that, I was just I made it my money maker. I ain't stopped, and I wound up buying eventually my own camera after that. That was like a starter pack he gave me, but I needed that though.
Yeah,
there's a lot of kids that you never know who you might give it. I never know who I might give a camera to, and they might pass me or be somewhere where it's like, damn, I really gave that kid a camera. Like, who knew,
Yeah.
So shout out to Nice Shot Kyle, man, for sure.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. So, again, this is another black man who invested, saw something in you that you didn't necessarily even see in yourself. Probably at the time it was a hobby. And he said, take this camera.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Go forth and be great.
And from there, man, it was up. I was doing things every week, and I'm starting to notice. Like at the time, I had a sneaker job, DTLR.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't really paying a lot for me at the time. So, for me, it was like, well, the camera, I'm making this amount every weekend. I'm like, all right, let me really lock in. You know what I'm saying? From there, just continue to elevate. Yeah,
because before I got here, I told my son that I was connecting with you. He wanted to come to Baltimore.
Yeah.
He's like, Dad, I tracked this dude. Like, I've been tracking this dude like his entire career. I'm like, entire career? He's 24. What are you talking about? Like, this guy is not like 70 years old. But when you come from a space in life where the life expectancy for black kids is no more than 18, right? Yeah. If you make it to 21, that's
big.
That's big. And so talking about that impact that you have on people, not even knowing, you said something just a few seconds ago. You said that your artistry brings you joy to bring other people joy. Yeah. Your artistry brings you joy to bring other people joy. Yeah. What does that joy feel like for you?
For me, it's honestly, as time went on, I feel like now it's more so the fact of like, man, kids in other countries saying like CV, like Africa, London, saying like, they love my work and those type of places. So it just makes me want to go even harder and just keep upping my level like even more. It make me feel like I'm doing something right, out of other things I probably could be doing. Yeah. The things that look cool to people. I feel like my reach and my just everything is going to be told over time. I think only time will tell. Yeah. I'm not really here to chase like fast money or like, the fast things. I feel like everything that's meant for me is going to come in time.
And you developing legacy.
Yeah. Sure. So
who are your influences?
Man, in the game right now, I always like Spike Jordan. He was always super fire to me. Kid art is like crazy. I really study a lot of kid art stuff. Shout out to Kid Art. And I'm talking about now, not really people, shout out to everybody I started with, back then, but I'm talking about the people that's in the game just killing it every day. And it's like, I want this spot, like those are the people I'm after, like the people that solidified a little bit in the game. Those are the people that's like, nah, in a couple years, y'all gotta move out the way. Yeah. I'm talking movies, TV shows. Yeah. Even more music videos, I want to eventually like, man, Meek got 1 million videos, but I want to eventually get into like, female artists, different things, other genres of music, just try to get my feet wet and, test my creativity out. So, I definitely, those are some of the guys that of course, like Spike Lee, he's definitely one of
Yes, Spike is like on the Mount Rushmore, on the black folks Mount Rushmore of...
Even like old photographers, like I don't know if a lot of people know Gordon Parks.
Gordon Parks, of course.
Gordon Parks was a photographer.
Yeah, Ernest Withers was one of the photographers during the Civil Rights era. Yeah. I'm actually, interestingly enough, doing a documentary about Ernest Withers.
Okay, I got to check that out. Yeah, but Gordon Parks is like super dope. I always look at his stuff and get like inspired and get ideas just from his pictures. So that to me is like, I got a picture literally in my crib that Gordon Parks took. So it's definitely like, he definitely somebody I look up to.
That's dope.
A little older.
When you think about the next 10 years of your life.
Yeah, oh man.
What does that look like for you?
I would say
three things you will have accomplished over the next 10 years.
That's tough. Wow. 3 things I want to accomplish.
You will have. Not that you won't. Not.
All right, let's do it. Big house.
Big house comes with a very big mortgage.
Yeah, it's out there. $1 million company.
Mm-hmm.
Stable family, man. Stability, good family, you know, wife, kids, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think those are the things I really want in life sooner or later. Definitely, you know, I want to have those things. I don't want to live this fast, you know, crazy. You know, I don't want to do it forever. So I would definitely say around probably like, you know, 30, 31. Let's slow it down a little bit. Even maybe 29. I don't know. I started young, so I think that's why I'm kind of like now.
Yeah, you've lived in your life in advance a little bit.
Yeah. To a certain extent. Yeah. Everybody that was my age, they probably was in college. I'm hopping on jets and doing all of this stuff.
Yeah. How does that feel?
I'm blessed to do it. It means a lot to have had that experience. I'm blessed and thankful that Meek even gave me those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But it always, you know, everything to me is so much in time. It's, you know, it's just like I go through it. I don't really try to cherish things that's that much materialistic. I value it and I hold it to a certain level, but I try not to like just cherish it. Like I gotta boom, boom, boom. This is how you gotta live. This is like, you know, I'm a pretty much simple guy.
Yeah.
I look at things for what it is, and I try not to get blinded by like the lights and fake energy that everything come with. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta have your family first, God first.
Amen.
Don't really get caught up in all the glitz and the glamour and the lights like that. You know, my younger days, I feel like I was very much so like, this is what you got aimed towards. This is, you know, but it's okay to be a normal guy, I think, you know?
Yeah.
You find people who genuinely got love for you. You'll find a girl who probably really got love for you.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of times we chase things that's like, it's kind of whipped. And what I mean by that is like it come with so much. Like you get the wrong chick, she might just be after you because you know you got a little paper. It's not,
or who you have access to.
Who you have access to. It's a lot of wicked stuff out here, man.
You know, during the entire 14 years that I was incarcerated, I never was incarcerated with just a normal guy. Yeah. Plain guy. All of the cats that I was incarcerated with was chasing something. Chasing the very thing that you talked about that was attractive to you in your younger years. And I mean, younger, which is relatively speaking, but you have there's a degree of maturity that you have that's beyond your years. One of the reasons why I want to have a conversation with you today is because not only do I see that within the next 10 years, you are going to be one of your generation's icons in terms of your artistry, in terms of your business acumen, in terms of franchising your ability to be able to see the world differently. Because in effect, that's what you're doing. You are seeing the world from a perspective that nobody's seeing.
Right.
Every time you open up your camera, every time you look through that lens, you are creating and you're seeing a shot that nobody's seeing. And when you think about how, back to our earlier point in our conversation, being able to think about life differently, being able to see life differently, what you're doing through your artistry is an extension of what you are already doing in your own personal life. Look, we're about to wrap. When was the last time you read anything, or what are you currently reading? I always ask people this.
Oh, that's a tough one. I ain't gonna lie, I'm more of a visual person.
Yeah.
I like to watch a lot of movies. I remember Kid Art to him. He's like watch like 2 movies a day. Ever since then, I just watch it, and I've been picking up little.
What's your favorite movie to watch?
Of all time?
All time.
Brown Sugar.
Brown Sugar? My favorite movie of all time is Do the Right Thing. Spike Lee.
Yeah. Younger Martin in there.
Yeah. Martin is from Baltimore, right?
Nah, Martin not from Baltimore. I don't know where Martin from actually, but I know for a fact he's not from Baltimore.
You sure?
Positive.
Martin is either from Baltimore or DC. We're gonna have to Google it.
Martin Lawrence?
Yeah, Martin Lawrence.
Maybe DC, not Baltimore.
Okay, all right. I think he's from.
I know Moesha. I mean, not Moesha. What's the?
Brandy?
Call her Big, but she had her own show.
Monique.
That's her name, right?
Yeah, Monique.
Yeah, I know she from Baltimore.
Oh, she from B-More?
But it's like people like that, I would never know because they don't really, like I don't even know what school she went to in Baltimore.
Yeah,
they'll never come back. Nothing. Jada Pinkett Smith too.
Yeah, Jada. I know
They'll
Jada.
never come back.
Yeah,
I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
I want to come back.
And going back actually provides a sense of inspiration
to other people,
to other people that's trying to leave out.
Yeah, shout out Will Barton too, because he always used to come back in his Bentleys and little stuff. He made me think like it was reachable, you know, like you would touch people and make you feel like, you know, you can really achieve that. So shout out to people that come back.
Yeah,
even Javante, I don't really know him personally, but he still come back and show love and touch kids. I commend people like that.
That's what's up. Yeah. I'm gonna give you the last word.
What, for right now?
Yeah, right now we rapping.
I don't even know what to say, man. What should I say? I'm gonna start right here. Thanks for having me on the podcast, man, to tell my story. That means the most to me.
What is it that I haven't asked you that you want to get across to our audience?
I'm a humble kid, man, that's trying to make it in life and achieve goals that nobody ever seen where I'm from. And I think that, you know, I'm on the right path to do it. And I think it's going to get done. Yeah. I think that's everything anyone, you probably need to know.
Yeah.
About Carter's vision.
That's what's up, man. I'm just going to disagree with you on one aspect of what you just said. Mm-hmm. When I look at you, I don't see a kid. I see a man.
Okay.
I see a man with a vision. Yeah. I see a man with goals. I see a man with objectives. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, I see a man who is just downright good folk.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate that.
Right. You can see your grandmama in you. Mm-hmm. I can hear your mama in you. Yeah. And quite frankly, I can even see the influence of your dad or the absence thereof in you. So all of those things are an amalgam of who we are as people.
Yeah, that's deep.
Appreciate you for coming on.
I appreciate you, my guy, for sure.
Yeah, my man. Appreciate it.
Until next time, like, subscribe, share. Illmatic Podcast. Overcoming beats, surviving breaks. See you next time.